Welcome to Faith Vocals. My name is Faith. I just started the stream and OBS. Okay, good. I heard some change in the music that I've got in the background, which seems pretty low. No, just checking over all of the stream settings and feeling a little bit of insecurity here. Sometimes the stream tends to crash on me, so that was the start of the insecurity mountain, and now we're getting over the other side of it. I think we're all set to go. And the plan for today, if you haven't been viewing the streams in the past, the usual plan is I tend to talk about subjects along the lines of religion or philosophy, trying to talk about the things that are important to me or the perspective that I have on the world as a Christian. So that'll be the first half of the stream, and then for the second half of the stream I tend to play a game, and that is Minecraft today. So we're going to be in Minecraft, going to try to get some netherite and craft a good suit of armor for myself. Maybe going to have to get some gold and diamond too, because I think the three tend to work together in Minecraft. I haven't had many instances of netherite armor. I think I was able to get my hands on some and then died with it, unfortunately, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. But my goal, ultimately, as I'm sharing my perspective in the beginning of the stream or playing and talking toward the end of the stream, is to interact with you folks. The beginning of the stream, I tend to hope that we can have meaningful conversations about our beliefs, so like along the lines of religion, philosophy. We can get into current events or culture also, but mainly there's a topic that I'm going with, and then towards the gameplay, I'm fine with it becoming looser, being able to talk about more lighthearted subjects, or often I do continue to talk about something that is a concern for me. The past couple of weeks, I've talked about my plans for the channel, my main goals, how I want to have interactions on meaningful subjects with people who may even disagree with me, and how I might plan to do that in a way that doesn't stir up unnecessary, I'm not coming up with the right words, but grief would be one thing that doesn't cause unnecessary heat. My goal is to have conversations that lead in a more reasonable direction that hopefully would help us to either come closer to the truth, or if that's beyond where we are, then at least we would be able to understand one another's point of view without having to necessarily change the other person. I think there's a lot of value in understanding why people do what they do, why they believe what they believe, even if that's not something that I might come to believe. And I would hope that you'd see that value too. So that is my goal and agenda for the channel. Let's go ahead and dive into the first part. We've been going through the Bible, through the book of Genesis, first book of the Bible. And we have reached Genesis chapter 16. We're in the story of Abram. And yesterweek was a good week, talking about Abram kind of having a vulnerable moment with God, where God is reassuring him that he can put his faith in God. God is, tell you what, let's go ahead and summarize where we've been with Abram, because I think this all comes together. And the reason I think that is in this first line here, this first verse in our section, in our chapter, Genesis 16. We'd find out now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children. She had a female Egyptian servant whose name was Hagar. So what do these have to do with anything? Let's go to Genesis chapter 12. So the Lord had made a promise to Abram. I'm going to try to summarize, not read directly, that he would make Abram a great nation. So there's kind of two ways that one might go about becoming a great nation. You would either become influential, stir up an army of people or a nation of people who are going to follow you, or more likely, you're going to have offspring who will eventually grow up and become a great nation. Abram happened to have the name meaning exalted father, so I think there would be an aspect, a side of that he would like. I don't know how it is for people whose name is not an English word. My name is Faith, and so to me, I can't escape the fact that my name has a meaning, and it's something that I tend to want to work my way toward. There may be some people whose name has a negative meaning. I understand if it's the case, they wouldn't want to live up to that name. But I think generally, if your name has a positive meaning, you kind of want to live out that meaning. And so Abram has a positive meaning, exalted father. That's the name he was born with. That's the hope that his father had for him when Terah, Abram's father, fathered him, gave him his name. I didn't go back far enough, so we were going back to the previous chapter, Genesis 11:30. Now Sarai, this was the wife of Abram. Abram's wife was Sarai. Sarai was barren. She had no child. So this is not the first time we're hearing she's had no child. We had that detail early on, and now in Genesis chapter 15, the Bible is reminding us she has no child, which is kind of a problem because God said to Abram, I will make you a great nation. And what's more, the Lord appeared to Abram and said, to your offspring, I will give this land. So now we've got more of a promise that it's not just Abram's going to be very influential. He's going to have offspring. He's going to have kids, but he's married to Sarai, and only to Sarai. And when we see the story of Abram beginning, he is 75 years old. I'm trying to see, does it say? I think it's in chapter 11 also. It says that Abram was 75 years old when he started to go to Canaan. That was where his father Terah had wanted to go, if I understand properly. Terah did not make the entire journey. He stopped halfway and established a city named after Abram's late brother. And then Abram took his brother's son, Lot, and Sarai, and they went on to Canaan. And God said, to your offspring, I'm going to give this land. So that's great. God's got a promise for Abram that Abram's going to have offspring. So not only does Abram carry this hope in his name that his father or mother gave him, that his parents clearly wanted him to be an exalted father. Not only does he carry the hope of that, but also the Lord apparently hopes that for him. The Lord has promised him that he's going to be an exalted father. So I bet that makes him kind of excited. That's something that he can put his hope in. That's something he can want, to be an exalted father. So he starts to settle in this land that the Lord has given him, but there's this famine. So there's not enough food for Abram and his household, him and his nephew Lot and Sarai, and any possessions and people that they have, any livestock that they have. So they have to move on to Egypt. Egypt has food. And we heard that Hagar was an Egyptian, didn't we? So are those two things connected? I think so. When Abram went to Egypt, he was kind of concerned. He told Sarai, I know that you are a woman beautiful in appearance. And we talked at length about this last week. This word know here has a significant meaning. It's more than theoretical knowledge. It's more than I've studied books about your beauty. I have experienced your beauty. This is I think from Sarai's experience as a position, especially since she would have been about 65 about now, for her husband to look at her and say, I have personally experienced your beauty. There's something about that expression that I think would warm my heart if I were in her position. So then imagine Abram saying, say that you are my sister, so that the Egyptians will not kill me, so that they may make you their wife. So that's the agreement that Abram made with Sarai. He was concerned that his life would be at risk because someone would want to take Sarai for their wife. And so, please say that you are my sister, so that it may go well with me, and that my life may be spared for your sake. So she agreed, and sure enough, someone took interest in her. That was the Pharaoh. Took interest in Sarai, brought her into his house, gave Abram lots of gifts, including male servants and female servants. And I kind of believe that this is where Hagar came from. I believe this is where Hagar joined Abram's family. But the Lord had promised Abram that he would bless those who blessed Abram and curse those who cursed Abram. Surely it was not a blessing that Pharaoh took Abram's wife into Pharaoh's house. Even if Pharaoh didn't realize what he was doing, it says the Lord afflicted Pharaoh. And Pharaoh figured things out and basically drove Abram and Sarai out of Egypt. Chased is probably a firm word, but it says Pharaoh gave men orders concerning him, and they sent him away with his wife and all that he had. So persona non grata in Egypt now, but that's okay, because now Abram can go back to Canaan and settle there. And the Bible says that Abram started to settle in the region of Hebron. I think we're a little bit ahead of that point. Abram's nephew Lot wound up separating from Abram on friendly terms, but it was because they both had flocks. The flocks were kind of competing with each other for the herbage in the area. Couldn't both graze in the same place. And so to keep the peace between the herdsmen of the flocks, then they had to split ways. And the Lord said to Abram, I will give this land to you and your offspring. Kind of, you haven't lost anything. It's not like Lot has taken part of your inheritance with him. This is all still your land. God is still giving Abram everything that God has promised Abram. So that's when Abram moved to Hebron. Found some friends over there, some Amorites. Mamre was one of them. I think Eshcol and Aner were the names of some of the others. And when 4 kings from the other nations decided that they were going to make sure that the people in the region knew who was boss, they came. They conquered several of the cities and took Abram's nephew Lot captive, because Lot had moved away around the area of Sodom. And so the kings took him captive, and Abram and 318 people from Abram's household and Abram's 3 friends went to, I don't know who came with Abram's friends, but this group went to rescue Lot back from these 4 kings. With God's help, they were successful. And Abram decided not to take the spoils because he knew the city of Sodom was evil. It was the king of Sodom who was saying, you can take the spoils if you want. And Abram said, no, I don't want anyone to say that you made me wealthy. Maybe he learned a lesson from Pharaoh when he was over in Egypt and Pharaoh had made him wealthy, even though it was because Abram was lying to him and Pharaoh hadn't figured it out yet. Abram also had a loyalty to God and had met this fellow named Melchizedek, who was a priest of the God that Abram worshipped. And so Abram was dedicating himself to God and not to the wealth of the world by choosing not to take the spoil of Sodom. Then in chapter 15, the chapter we addressed last week, I think God's responding directly to Abram's choice. Abram gave 1/10 of the wealth that he had to Melchizedek as an offering to God, and had spurned the wealth of Sodom. And I think God is responding directly to him, saying, fear not, Abram, I am your shield. So in a sense, God was the one who carried Abram through that battle. God is Abram's protector. Your reward shall be very great. Or some versions say that God, it says, I am your shield, your very great reward. So God will be everything that Abram might have felt attached to materially. And in other words, materialism is not a value that God promotes, because God knows that God, he is more glorious than anything that we could acquire materially. And so we don't need to attach ourselves to material possessions, even though as human beings who are not aligned with God's will, the Bible says that each one of us rebels against God. We definitely fall short. We definitely desire things that are lesser than God and everything that he offers us and wants for us. But here Abram had made a good choice. He had said that his loyalty was going to be for God and not the wealth of the world. And God is saying your reward shall be very great. But Abram has a moment with God, and he says, Lord, I'm still waiting for that offspring that you promised to me. What will you give me? What reward can you give me, since I continue childless and my servant, my probably a slave, the heir of my house is Eliezer of Damascus. He was a steward for Abram. And the Lord told Abram that no, this Eliezer, your servant, will not be your heir. You're going to have your own son from your own body be your heir. And I'm not going to go over the how heartfelt this section was, how understanding God was of Abram. I had some bad news about Abram's offspring mixed in with the good news, but definitely for Abram it was good news. He's going to have have offspring, and will go to his fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age, as opposed to the offspring who would be enslaved in a foreign land for 400 years, and then come back to the promised land that that God was giving to Abram. So that's our catch up here. And also, by the way, part of this conversation God had with Abram, God gave Abram a vision. He had Abram, Abram was awake and conscious and not in a vision. He had Abram prepare animal carcasses, split some of the larger carcasses in half. It was a cultural practice to form what's called a covenant, basically an agreement between two parties, and the parties would pass between these two halves of the animals that they had split, basically saying, if I violate my half of this agreement, may I become like these dead animals that are on either side of this path that we're walking along. Except God put Abram to sleep, and in a vision, God showed Abram that God had passed through the pieces. So God is taking on the full responsibility for this covenant. If it could never be, because God cannot lie. But if it were that God had violated the covenant, then God is saying, may I be like these animals, these carcasses that line both sides of this path. So a very vivid image, and a very certain, a very sure promise that God will follow through with what God has been telling Abram. So in the next chapter, now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children. We're still waiting for that offspring. She had a female Egyptian servant whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said to Abram, behold now, the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. So she's, no doubt, after a vision like Abram has received, God, I'll go into a little bit of detail about it. I mentioned the covenant. Abram has this, asks God, what reward could you give me since I won't have a child? And God's saying, no, you will have a son. And God brought him, Abram, outside and said, look toward the heaven and number the stars. If you are able to number them, so shall your offspring be. So I'm just imagining this really heartfelt conversation between Abram and God. I don't know what it was like, since as a Christian, based on what the Bible says, I believe God is omnipresent. So God is here with me, just as he was there with Abram, but I don't tend to see God. I don't tend to feel God. I don't tend to have conversations with God. I pray, but he doesn't tend to respond back verbally. And so I don't know in what way this conversation between God and Abram occurred, but it definitely feels very intimate, very God feels very caring in this conversation, and very understanding of this vulnerable place that Abram is in. And Abram asks, it says, Abram believed the Lord, and the Lord counted it to him as righteousness, basically. And I spelled this out in more detail in the last stream. Abram is putting his trust in the Lord in just the same way he puts his trust in the earth not to fall out from under him. That's the idea, is he is relying fully on the Lord for all of his support. And so when the Lord says, you don't have offspring now, but you will have offspring, and they will be numerous like the stars in the sky, Abram is fully trusting in the Lord and can fully trust in the Lord. However, Abram asked God, how am I to know that I shall possess it? And again, that's the word that he used with Sarai. I have experienced your beauty. And it's that internal knowledge that's more than just theoretical. It's experiential, it's personal. And he says, God, how do I experience this? How do I make this personal? How do I go beyond head knowledge into heart knowledge? Because I'm sure that Abram was aware, God, I'm trusting in you now, but I know what doubt feels like, and I know it will be back. And that's where God makes this covenant with Abram and says, no for certain. The word is yada. That's the word for no. And it's used twice in this verse in the Hebrew, actually. Yada, yada, or the tenses are different here. Let's see. These are the two words. So, yadoa, and I may be mispronouncing them, teda, but they're from the same word. The idea is, there's this emphasis there. No, or know that you know, something like that. Know for certain that your offspring will be sojourners in a land that are not theirs, but afterward they shall come out with great possessions. So I can't help but think that after this experience, Abram has had this encounter with God. It's very personal, and God has established this covenant that's as real as the animals that Abram strew on the sides of this the path. And he had to have talked to Sarai about it, had to have told her, you won't believe what just happened to me. God has spoken to me before, but not like this. And Sarai's doing some thinking afterward, because she loves Abram too. After all, she was willing to save his life by saying she was Abram's sister, even though it meant that she had to go into the house of another man. And she was willing to keep that ruse up for her husband. I don't think that was a good idea, by the way, but that's the level of love that she has for Abram. She's still with Abram, and she now has this conversation and says, Abram, apparently God has a plan for you, but he doesn't have one for me. In fact, his plan for me is not to give you children. So Abram, you're going to have a child from your own body, according to what God says, what God told you just a little bit ago. But he's kept me from having children for you. So, can't be me. I can't be part of that plan because we've seen how God's treating me, right? So Abram, you've been very faithful to me. 75, now he's 86 years old, we find out at the end of this chapter. And people have had children in their 30s, according to Genesis chapter 11. There's a genealogy, and we see all these people in the genealogy at 30, 32, 34. They have their child who succeeds them on in a genealogy. And when Abram goes to Canaan, Abram is 75, and he takes Sarai with him. And there's no other wife going with him. It's Sarai and whatever servants, but Abram is waiting for a child. You would think that maybe he would have done like the rest of society. We find out in Genesis chapter 4 that's where we encounter the first instance of polygamy. The descendants of Cain, one of the descendants was a man by the name of Lamech, and he has 2 wives. So by this point, polygamy is definitely established in society. And Sarai saying, Abram, I want what God wants for you. And apparently God doesn't want me to be a part of it. So, you've been really faithful to me. I know you love me. Ayada, that you love me. But maybe you need to be a little bit less faithful to me for the sake of both of us. Go into my servant. It may be that I shall obtain children by her. Maybe I can still be a part of this plan by giving you permission to set me aside. There was a concept in Israel of setting a wife aside. I don't mean by like that. That was more like divorce. But she's kind of stepping aside so that Abram can have what it looks like God has promised him. So I obviously I'm emotional. I get emotional during these stories. I haven't gotten so emotional about Abram and Sarai until I started talking about them on the stream. But I definitely can feel the love between these 2 people, and I think it's significant that Abram has taken all this time. It's been, he probably expected to have a child in his 30s, and it's been at least 50 years since that has happened. Yet Abram has stayed uniquely faithful to Sarai, has not sought out a second wife until this point, and now Sarai has finally got to say, Abram, you got to be a little bit more open-minded. And Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. So after Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, so figure Abram was 75 when God told Abram to go to Canaan. Maybe it took him a year to get there, or maybe the time in Egypt added on some extra time. So 10 more years would have been around 86, which is confirmed at the end of the chapter. Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar the Egyptian, her servant, and gave her to Abram, her husband, as a wife. So it's very clear in this chapter who is taking the instigating role here. And I do believe the Bible on this. I believe that the Bible is accurately describing the situation between Abram and Sarai. I think Sarai wants to do what she thinks is right, and at this time, Abram and Sarai predate Moses. Moses was a descendant, spoiler, of Abram. And so this book, Genesis, was written by Moses. And so this book, Genesis, did not exist at the time of Abram. Maybe Moses would have used documents that Abram might have written, journals or accounts of things that happened in Abram's life. It's possible that God gave Moses information directly, but also it's possible that Moses, especially given the fact that he was adopted into the Egyptian royal family, would have had access to archives with history, maybe from Adam, maybe from Abram. The question is, how did Moses get the history that he was able to put into the Bible? So I wouldn't be surprised if he had documents that would have come from Abram, because who else was writing Abram's story at this time? Abram would not have had a codified version of God's law or God's will to look at. And even when you get into Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, the law of Israel, you see some leeway given to the concept of, say, concubines. I think that's what Hagar gets described as. I don't know if other versions describe her that way, probably in other sections of the Bible, that kind of thing. So the idea of the way the Bible describes concubines, I believe that it's like they are a wife, but they're a different kind of wife. I'm not completely familiar with the culture. Clearly, I come from a very different culture. And as I look at later in the Bible, and even looking at the Bible up to this point, we recognize there's a reality of polygamy in the world ever since before the great flood that happens in Genesis chapter 6 through 9. We have these examples of people who do take multiple wives, but at least up until the point of Abram, let's consider who the Bible has spoken of. Adam had Eve, and he had no one else. There was no alternative to Eve. God provided one woman for one man. And then, of course, humanity goes on as it does, and then we come to Noah. And Noah has his wife, and each of his sons has their wife. One man, one wife, and then each of his 3 sons has one wife. And the Bible specifically says only 8 people went on the ark. So each one of them only had one wife. And it said that Noah feared God out of the whole of humanity at the time. Apparently Noah was the only one left who feared God, and that's why God chose to be merciful to him and to allow him on the ark. God had been as merciful as he could with the rest of humanity. That's why it was down to one man who was still fearing God. And by God's mercy, he allowed that man to live and to be the patriarch of the rest of humanity. That man with his one wife would have been the matriarch of the rest of humanity, and his 3 sons, each with their one wife. And when they got off the ark, there was no alternative. Each one of them just had their one wife, and that was apparently sufficient for God. So then each of their descendants has their family tree, and we get to the Tower of Babel, and we don't see anyone specific about the Tower of Babel except Nimrod. We don't know from the Bible what his marital status was, and I've heard accounts of who may have been his wife, that kind of thing, but I am not enough of an expert in history to dwell on those now. He's a main figure, but not someone that I believe God specifically chose. Like God chose Noah, for instance. And the Tower of Babel, God scrambles the languages, the different people groups dispersed throughout the world, and Abram happens to live around the neighborhood of where the Tower of Babel was. That was Shinar. Was around the area of Shinar. That's where Abram comes from, is and Terah, Abram's father, brings Abram and Terah's family north and west toward Haran. And I don't remember what the people group around that area was called. That's where Terah settles. And then Abram and Abram's one wife God calls Abram and says, I've got got land prepared for you over in Canaan. Out of everybody in the world, all of these great nations and all of their kings that God could have chosen, God settles for a man and his barren wife, who that man is so dedicated to that he is not trading her in for another woman. And that is the man that God chose to represent God through his offspring in the future, through the nation of Israel. So even up to this point, we can kind of reasonably see by the people that God is specifically choosing to favor and bless. He seems to value maybe faithfulness to one spouse. And later on, when God gives the church instructions on the kind of people who should be in leadership, pastors, deacons, elders, those kinds of things, God says they must be a man of one wife. So there's some discussion about what that means, but I think it's pretty clear. Not two wives alive at the same time, under the same roof, that kind of thing. It can't be a two-wife man, it's got to be a one-wife man. So here, Sarai has the idea to take Hagar the Egyptian, her servant, and give her to Abram, her husband, as a wife. And he went into Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, she looked with contempt on her mistress. What's this footnote? I'm kind of curious about those. In the Hebrew, apparently, literally, her mistress was dishonorable in her eyes. And that appears again in verse 5 here. So, in newer versions, like the English Standard Version, I think they try to be careful about how they translate the Bible. We have more manuscripts available to us translating the English Standard Version than we did back in 1611 when the King James Version was translated. And so there's a little bit more to deal with and to consider when making a translation. So I think these footnotes pop up just to let us know this is another sense in which some of the manuscripts show it. Or here, you want to know how the Hebrew puts this. Literally, we're conveying the idea. She looked with contempt on her mistress, but this was another way of understanding the words in the Hebrew. So I kind of I wonder if Sarai kind of set herself up here, because, and I can understand why Sarai came to her conclusion. The Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Why else couldn't Sarai bear children? Every other woman is able to bear children long before Sarai is having this conversation with Abram. It's not that Sarai is choosing not to have children. It has to be the Lord. The Lord has prevented me from bearing children. So imagine Hagar, if she understands the dynamics going on between her master and her mistress. The Lord has not prevented Hagar from bearing children. The Lord must favor Hagar more than he favors Sarai. So I can imagine that might have been something that was crossing Hagar's mind, or maybe it wasn't even that complicated. Maybe she didn't need any loyalty to the Lord specifically. Maybe it was just that she had something that her mistress didn't, and that she knew her mistress wanted. So she looked with contempt on her mistress. Sarai was dishonorable in her eyes. And Sarai said to Abram, "May the wrong done to me be on you. I gave my servant to your embrace, and when she saw that she had conceived, she looked on me with contempt. May the Lord judge between you and me." So Sarai, clearly under the situation that she's in, suffering the way that she is, dealing with the contempt from this servant, and I believe probably a slave. The slavery was around at this time, and I see no reason that, even though Abram had not fallen to polygamy, up until this point. It could be that he had bought in with his culture on the issue of slavery. Especially since the Bible does say that he had male servants and female servants, and in the Hebrew that is the actual word for slave. So I shouldn't be as hedgy about it. He had bought into the culture in this respect. So Sarai is unhappy with apparently the contempt being shown is overt. Hagar isn't just keeping this privately and it slips out sometime. It's clear that she is treating Sarai, her mistress, with derision. And Sarai, emotionally, is blaming Abram. Which maybe that's why the Bible is also very plain in verse 3. It was Sarai. Sarai did this. Sarai says, "May the wrong done to me be on you." So what is Abram to do with this situation? Who is Abram's heart for? It's not for Hagar. It's for Sarai. And so Abram says to Sarai, "Behold, your servant is in your power. She's your responsibility. Do to her as you please." Then Sarai dealt harshly with her and she fled from her. So I don't see a lot of redeeming factors here. Given the culture, which was not guided by biblical principles because the Bible hadn't been written yet, I think Abram and Sarai are feeling their way around what they ought to do, what they oughtn't to do. It sure feels right that since God has kept Sarai from having a child, that this is the way to do it. Especially it's right in their culture that people do this all the time. So this must be the way. And yet we see the results of this, that after I think what we understand in modern society, at least in modern Christian society, we have in modern society among the world, that is, people who are outside of Christian circles, people who are not trying to seek God, not trying to pursue God. We have people who believe in open marriages. And how different is, I mean, clearly it's obviously polygamy. Polygamy is coming back. And probably they would point at the Bible and say, it's in the Bible, so it's got to be right. No, not necessarily. There are a lot of things in the Bible that are what you would call descriptive and not prescriptive. I think that's how you pronounce it. Prescriptive, 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 probably. The Bible exposes the sin that exists at the time that the Bible was written. Doesn't necessarily condone it. In fact, the Bible does not condone sin. And I think it's pretty clear in this situation, this choice was a negative one. We see it in the consequences of the decision. Hagar starts mistreating Sarai. Sarai starts mistreating Abram. And then Sarai starts mistreating Hagar, who is unloved in the whole equation anyway. And it makes sense that Hagar would flee that situation. But interestingly, God takes time to find out, to make himself known to Hagar. Of all the people in this equation, I think that's interesting because we know that God speaks to Abram. Sarai is Abram's wife. Maybe God would take time to speak to Sarai. We don't see evidence of that. God seems to have chosen Abram to have an especially close relationship with. The Bible says in other places, God calls Abram his friend. But if anyone was going to be spoken to in this situation, I don't imagine it would be Hagar. She's not really the same as Abram and Sarai. She doesn't come from the same place. She hasn't pursued God. She doesn't have an investment in God's plan for Abram. All she's doing is bearing Abram's son, which may not necessarily have even been her choice. She was a slave. Sarai was the one who gave her to Abram. But the angel of the Lord seeks her out. And a lot of the times in the Old Testament, when we see this phrase, the angel of the Lord, it's interesting. The way the angel of the Lord speaks whenever a human being encounters the angel of the Lord. In many of the times that the angel of the Lord is speaking to someone, he seems to speak the way that God might speak. He doesn't tend to speak like a servant of God might speak. He tends to speak as God might speak, saying, I have done this for you, and whatever he says he's done would only be something that God could do, that kind of thing. So a lot of times when we see this phrase, the angel of the Lord, as Christians think this is what we call a theophany. In other words, God is what we understand to be a trinity, one being, one entity, one God, but three persons, three individual unique persons within that entity God. Hard to imagine. I don't know that anyone understands what a trinity actually looks like in reality. But that seems to be the way that the Bible describes God. And so that would be one person would be God the Father. Another person would be God the Son. And then there's God the Holy Spirit. And out of this whole Trinity, the only one that has had a physical being is God the Son. That was Jesus. He took on a physical human body long after this point. He was a descendant of Abram too, when he was on the earth through his mother Mary. But he is the only part of the Trinity that has a physical being. And so if God is going to come to a person and show himself to a person, it makes sense that the part of the Trinity, the person of the Trinity that would show himself to people, would be Jesus. And God is a timeless being. That means that even though God steps into our timeline and interacts with us like he did with Abram in chapter 15, and he will in chapter 17, and I think chapter 19 is especially there are God talks to Abram a lot, but there are sometimes some points that are special to me. I want to say that chapter 19 is one of those. But even though God steps into our timeline, he is not bound by our timeline. And so it is if he is able to be outside of our timeline, overseeing our entire timeline all at once. And so Jesus, being a timeless being, having since he during the time that he was a human on earth, from his birth to his death and his resurrection, he would have been within our timeline. But before then and after he ascended, I don't believe he needs to be bound to our timeline the same way. So it could be that this is actually Jesus, the Son of God, speaking to Hagar. And it says angel. Let's have a look at the Hebrew here. The angel of the Lord. Oh yeah, right. Angel. The word is malak. What does that mean? No, I've already taken care of that. Don't worry about that. Messenger. Ambassadors. Oh, the theophanic angel. That they're talking about Jesus in that reference too. But so this is the first time that we see the word malak, about the angel of the Lord. Got a lot of angels appearing around the time of Abram. Let me see what else I can find here. It would have been nice if I'd done a little bit more prep work on this. Okay. Genesis 32:6. And the messengers returned to Jacob. Let's go a little bit earlier. Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And then 3 verses later, they come back and say, we came to your brother Esau, and he is coming to meet you, and there are 400 men with him. The idea here, the context here, is Jacob, a descendant of Abram, spoiler, has had a rough relationship with his brother Esau. Usually the oldest brother would have what is called the birthright, which means that he would inherit the property of his father, and he would have a double portion of the inheritance. So it's as if the property is getting split into at least 3 pieces, and the oldest son gets 2 of them, or perhaps if there are more than 2 sons, then definitely that first one is getting more property, more of the inheritance than the rest of the brothers would get, or the rest of the offspring would get in that case. But Jacob tricked and connived to get both Esau's birthright and his double blessing. So Esau was not happy. He was angry enough to murder, literally. Jacob's parents sent Jacob away so that Esau would not murder Jacob. And this is the first time that Jacob is coming back in contact with Esau after many years of having fled from his brother, so that Esau wouldn't murder him. And he sends messengers to kind of scout out how things go in Esau. And then he finds out Esau's coming back with 400 men. So that does not seem like a great situation, but I'll leave the rest of that story for the future. And then anyway, in this case, it's clear Jacob is not sending angels. This is the same word, messengers, malak, same word. So even though the Bible says angel of the Lord in 16, that doesn't necessarily mean that this being is not God the Son. God the Son could be the messenger for the Godhead. That's another word that us humans, us Christians, use for the Trinity. It could be that he had gone there to speak to Hagar. So this, either an angel or quite possibly Jesus, the Son of God himself. And he said, Hagar, servant of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going? Apparently he knows where she's come from, servant of Sarai. At least he knows who she is. Interestingly, he attaches her identity with her mistress, who has been mistreating her. Let me go ahead and point out something here. It says Sarai dealt harshly with her. Let's look at the Hebrew for this too. Dealt hardly with her, uses the King James Version. We're looking at the English Standard Version for our reading because I think it's easier for us to understand in more modern times. But this word ana has this idea. Sarai dealt harshly with Hagar. So I just want us to kind of remember that word ana. Hagar, servant of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going? She said, I am fleeing from my mistress Sarai. The angel of the Lord said, return to your mistress and submit to her. Let me see. I was looking at this in the King James when I first looked this up. I want to check if this is the verse I saw. Submit thyself under her hands. I think this is the verse I saw. So let's have a look at the Hebrew here. Said unto her, return to thy mistress, Anah, submit thyself. So this angel of the Lord fully understands the situation that Hagar has been in. The word used to deal harshly with Hagar, it's a double meaninged word. Let's go ahead and investigate further. There's Anah. There's a to be occupied, be busied with, but the idea really is to afflict, oppress, humble, be afflicted, be bowed down, be humbled. So it's both, depending on the tense, I guess, would be, are you the one who is doing the afflicting, or are you the one who is being afflicted? I just want to see, was there anything interesting? When the Lord gave his promise to Abram, know for certain that your offspring will be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and will be servants there, and they will be afflicted for 400 years. So this is the same idea. Sarai is treating Hagar the same way that Abram's descendants were treated when they were slaves in what would be Egypt. Egypt existed now, but obviously they didn't have Abram's descendants there yet. And this angel is telling Hagar, go back. Okay, that is not the back button. I keep clicking that by accident because it looks like a back button. The angel is telling Hagar, go back and submit to that affliction. Submit to being mistreated. Why is it that that this would happen? And what is the plan here? Let's go ahead and continue. The angel of the Lord also said to her, I will surely multiply your offspring so that they cannot be numbered for multitude. That sounds a lot like the promise for Abram, doesn't it? And the angel of the Lord said to her, behold, you are pregnant. You shall bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael. God hears. Interesting. Because the Lord has listened to your affliction. He shall be a wild donkey of a man, his hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him. Everyone's hand against him, and he shall dwell over against all his kinsmen. So the angel is making a promise for Hagar very similar to Abram's. Not quite, it's a mixed blessing, I think. I think you would want your son to get along with people, but I don't know. Maybe you'd want your son to be strong, to be his own man, that kind of thing. I don't know what her reaction would have been to this news about her son Ishmael and the kind of relationship that he would have with people, but his offspring, so Ishmael would be a successful man. He would have offspring after him, and they would not be numbered for multitude. So Ishmael would establish a people group, like the nations, like God had promised Abram. So I don't see this as a curse of any kind. I don't see this as God being against Hagar. Why is he telling Hagar, go back to the woman who is your mistress, go back to slavery, go back to submit to the affliction that you were under? What is the reason for this? The Bible doesn't tell us completely. We do get Hagar's reaction to this. She called the name of the Lord who spoke to her, you are a God of seeing, or you are a God who sees me. For she said, truly here I have seen him who looks after me. Hebrew, have I really seen him here who sees me? Or would I have looked here for the one who sees me? So when you're making a translation from one language to the other, it's not direct. So apparently these are both ways that that passage could have been understood. So she's saying God is looking after her. Therefore the well was called Bir Lahai Roi. It lies between Kadesh and Bered. There's another place called Beersheba. We get the story of the name of Beersheba, but this word beer would be well, and then Lahai Roi, well of the living one who sees me, between Kadesh and Bered. That gives us some indication of what was on Hagar's mind when she was running, by the way, because I've got this little map. Let's see if I can make it any bigger. Just a moment. Will this work? That is not working for me. So, there we go. Yes. So Hebron is where Abram was living, around the Oaks of Mamre, around Hebron. He was here, and she would have run away, and we've got this arrow pointing at this location, Kadesh Barnea, and it said that that Bir Lahai Roy lay between Kadesh and Bered. So, as far, I've been looking at other maps, as you can tell. As far as I can tell, this is around the area that she would have been in. Here's the wilderness of Shur. It said that the angel of the Lord found her in Shur. So, around this area was where she would have been. From Hebron, down this way, and Egypt is over that way. So I'm thinking she was making a beeline to Egypt, back home, where she was familiar. But she had this wilderness to get through first. She found a fountain, spring or something that she could load up water for. But can you imagine a pregnant woman running across the desert? How difficult that would have been for her alone also. She's not going with a caravan. She's not going with protectors. The angel is having this conversation with her by herself. There's a lot that can happen to a woman going by herself through the desert before we have planes and cars and other conveniences that make that kind of thing a bit more bearable. So I think she rightly understands. She's celebrating that God is looking after her. She's celebrating God has a plan for her. God didn't just leave her up to herself to die out there in the desert. God has a plan. He says, your plan sends you back to Sarai. You go back to Sarai, you'll get taken care of there. Your son will be born there. And even though he won't get along with the people around him, he will still survive. And that's God's plan, is that Ishmael will be able to continue and live and succeed and have his own offspring and become a great people. God's got a blessing for Hagar, and that blessing, as God has predicted, God told Abram, I will bless those who bless you and I will curse those who curse you. And I want to say that it says Abram would be a blessing to the entire earth. I just want to check that. That seems like an important thing to remember since I'm part of the entire earth. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So Hagar directly, wrong button, that was not the back button. Hagar directly will experience this blessing by going back to her master, her mistress, even if it's tough, even if she has to submit to the affliction that Sarai is giving her. So it's not a situation that you would choose for yourself, but she recognizes this is the best place for her to be. This is God's plan for her. We do find out later on that she does go on to have her own freedom. She does have to run not run away the second time. I think it's that Sarai just does not have room for both Ishmael and Isaac, who is Abram's spoiler son, to be in the same household, which is kind of along the lines of this prophecy, his hand against everyone and everyone's hand against him. But for now, Abram's household is where Ishmael is going to succeed. And Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram called the name of his son whom Hagar bore Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. Come to think of it, that would have been 9 months, so maybe that contributes to the extra year. Abram's story started when he was 75. God spoke to Abram, and then Sarai came up with this idea 10 years after Abram was 75, and now Abram is 86 years old when he has his son Ishmael through Hagar. So I titled the stream, I gave the stream a not very, what's the word? There's a non-controversial name. I titled the stream something along the lines of God's plan includes women. So I don't think most people disagree with that, unless you disagree that God exists. But if you're willing to give credence to the idea that God exists, I think most people understand that God's plan includes women. If you don't, identify with that readily, then maybe it's because you've heard of this time frame, Abram's time frame being a patriarchal time frame, which seems right to me. A lot of time in the Bible, you see the focus being on the men, but that doesn't mean that the women are not part of the plan. God clearly is taking time out of God's schedule, God's timeless schedule, to God's putting time into his schedule, actually, to have this conversation with Hagar and make sure that she's taken care of and that she knows what his plan is for her. And then also, we find out a little further in Genesis that Ishmael is not the son that God has promised Abram. God yet has a plan for Abram. So if God's plan for Abram didn't involve Hagar directly, God's got a different plan for Hagar. If Hagar was not part of the original plan, then who is part of the original plan? And of course, if you know the story, then you know that Sarah actually is part of the original plan. Sarah is counting herself out. I've been thinking of this. Sarah's been doing math in her head, and it turns out the equation is one of subtraction. She doesn't think she's part of God's equation, God's plan for Abram. And the math is wrong. She is part of the equation, and we're going to find that in the next few chapters. So next chapter I plan to get into is Genesis chapter 17. I'm trying to restrain myself from doing multiple chapters because I find that I tend to run longer than I care for, and since I'm doing the stream in the evening, I don't have a lot of energy. So by the time I get into the gameplay, I don't have a lot of attention for it. But we are ready to get into the game of Minecraft now. I'm going to pull that up on my screen where I can see it. And I don't tend to run the Minecraft music, so I guess I can go ahead and keep the current music up. Let me go ahead and change the scene there. There we go. And when I do that, then the screen goes away. So now we're back in. And I did get my hands, I don't have it with me. I guess I must have left it in the Nether. I got my hands on some netherite scraps. Oh, I've got plenty of diamonds and gold. I guess I can bring those over, hoping I don't fall into any lava. So I've got lots of blocks around here. Let me get myself something else that I can use in the Nether. Got lots of cobblestone. And then I want to make sure that I'm good and fed, all healed up. We'll go back to the Nether and see what more mining we can do. I've got some sand, but and I've got some gunpowder. Let's go ahead and make a little TNT. I'm not sure how much I'm committing to TNT mining necessarily. Is this how you do it? This is how you do it. Okay. Okay, that only gets me 2. So I'll be trying to do a good job at creeper slaying later on. I've made some pathways in the Nether, so that'll broaden some of those out. I was, the last stream, I was trying to go just in a straight line and see how that would work for me. Let's see, I do have a netherite pickaxe on hand. Another thought I had about getting netherite is apparently some of the bastions in the Nether have netherite or netherite ingots, netherite scraps. Okay. Who's so noisy around here? You gonna attack me? You're just off on this cliff? Okay, we're fine. Let me go ahead and see if I can put a torch out there. I'm crouching, so I should be fine. Just so nothing tries to spawn in this area. Okay. Then we're going in. overworld. Okay. When I originally made the portal, there was a big wall of lava right in the front here. Right in the front of the portal. So that killed me pretty quickly. Not immediately. I managed to survive for a while, but it did eventually kill me. And yep, there's the wall of lava. So it would have fallen right there, and this is the direction that I'm going. Let me just make sure there's nothing else I need. Got some raw gold. Got some golden boots, but I'm wearing golden boots, but they're not very strong. Let me go ahead and wear these, and then when they wear down, I can combine the two. Okay. So I tend to try to have a topic that I'm going to talk about if there's nothing else to talk about, if there's no other conversation to be had. I try to have something meaningful to say, at least for me. Maybe not necessarily things that that other folks will care about. Hopefully it's entertaining enough, but I kind of wonder if when I'm talking, which as a streamer you need to be talking because you need to be able to reassure anyone who comes on the stream that there's something to be listened to, that there's something interesting for them on the stream. You're not just someone boring who doesn't even have anything interesting to say. This portal goes back to my main base. The base we just left I call Oak Base, and then this is Savannah Base. And then the near where we're going to be mining netherite is a portal to Amethyst Base. But I don't know that I need to go to Amethyst Base anytime soon. Let's see. Gotta remember how to get there. I think I've got to go downstairs, actually. I climbed upstairs without thinking that through. But anyway, as a streamer, it's a good idea to keep talking so that if someone comes on for a brief while and doesn't and well is deciding whether they're going to stay. We going to have a traffic jam here, buddy? They can hear you and your personality and decide whether they find anything interesting. Maybe they'll be more likely to decide to stay if it sounds like you're talking about things that are of interest to you. You're not just someone boring. If someone wanted to watch just video gameplay, they could play the game themselves and get more engaged with the game. But usually people, I think, come on streams because streams are a kind of a friend factory, as I think of it. You get to know that you can have a conversation with someone. You get to know that you can chat with someone. And it's easier to have that confidence if they're talking, because that means that they are thinking about their audience, considering what people around them or people who might come on the stream might be interested in. They're not just self-focused. So I think people come on streams to maybe establish that friendship if they can, and if streamers are friendly, then that works well. So I try to have something that I'm saying, but I also wonder if me continually going on about a particular topic kind of discourages people from getting involved in conversation, because they if we are well raised, then I think typically we understand that oh, there's more gold here, cool. And more stones, okay. I got some beds, nice. So maybe we can have a few explosions today. How good is my armor? Diamond. So should be doing fine. Let's get this netherite smelted, or nether ingot. This is not how it works, huh? Then I think this is how it works. We'll get 1 ingot, which means we can upgrade something, I think. There we go. And my inventory is chock full. So let me, I can drop off I'll build that up again. Try to remember what my last sentence was, or what the topic was. But at least, should I think I want to, can I build that one up? It's not going to give me full efficiency, huh? But if I make a new diamond pickaxe, then I'll get full, not efficiency, full durability. So let's try that. Need some sticks. I don't have any sticks in here. I'll just make several sticks. There we go. I'm going to need more room anyway. Oh, I do have more boots. I have plenty of boots because I keep dying and I have to keep making new gold boots whenever I die. Okay. Yeah. Make that pickaxe first and then I can upgrade it. Now this one, actually, no. I've already done that. That'll be an extra. But this one has the efficiency boost. The spell. But I wonder, I guess enchantment is the official word. Oh, well, can I combine these? If I combine them, am I going to need... Yeah, that doesn't work. I would need an anvil, wouldn't I? Can I make an anvil from here? I've got more iron blocks back home. Let me go check that out, I think. I'm just going to drop off some extra items I don't need. And I'll get some more iron. Make an anvil. Anyway, what I was saying, I think, is if I'm talking about a particular topic, I think most people are raised not to interrupt. It's a different environment on the internet because you can type into chat and then I can respond to chat when I'm ready. But I wonder if it discourages people from starting up their own conversation. Maybe talking about a subject they're interested in, that kind of thing. I'm new to the stream environment. I want to say that I tend to see people starting new topics of conversation when streamers are talking, so maybe I don't need to worry so much about that. But I've done a lot less preparation this stream for this segment, having something to say, because I figure maybe if I'm a little bit more random, then it won't be as difficult to transition if someone happens to show up and wants to talk about something specific. That was a challenge with me when I was earlier in the stream, less experienced about the stream than I am now. Used to be when I started the stream, the segments were mostly like this segment. Each stream, the whole stream, was me playing the game and talking while I was doing the gameplay. That worked out fairly well, but then people started to show up in the stream and interact. I had a couple of regulars, and they had very different personalities. One of them really likes the games, but I don't know that we've had a lot of good conversations. Another one was good for conversations, definitely not a part of my worldview. In fact, they were further than I had expected the opposite of my worldview to be. Where is that kid that keeps growling at me. Can I find him and deal with him? Would he be somewhere around here? No, I don't think so. I think I'm just making a U-turn. Excuse me. I'm not hearing him anymore. There's probably a cave or the chasm behind that wall. That's probably where he is. Okay, so here's where my stuff is and my iron blocks. Yep. 1, 2. I think it's 4, right? Or not? Or is it 4 iron ingots and 3... I think it's 4 iron ingots and 3 blocks. Yeah. I want to say I've seen a YouTube video about how best to manage the enchantments, and I said I saw it. I saw that one existed, basically. I've seen the thumbnail for it. Probably want to hunt it down sometime, but today I'll probably be wasteful and not manage my enchantments as well as I want to. Hopefully I don't lose that efficiency too that's on my current netherite. That's got to be coming from the chasm. Yeah, sounds like the kid's trapped up there. I think I'll go check it out. Okay. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Don't see him. No? Is he not up here? This is probably not the place to start a fight. Oh, really close. Yeah, there he is. Okay. Yeah, he can't get me from there. And that is iron. I'm tempted because I'm conditioned to think that iron is valuable as the way I usually play the game. I tend to wind up quitting before I get anywhere near netherite, but I'll restrain myself now. Got some glitch in here. There we go. My boots are fine. I've got plenty of boot durability too, so I can put those away for now. See if I can find my way back to topic. Yeah, that was another issue with well, I was talking about one of my regulars was this younger person who enjoyed games, so definitely I think enjoyed the gaming part of the stream and maybe the conversation. We didn't I don't recall a lot of back and forth between us. And he's shown some interest in coming back. I've seen him in the comments, so that would be great if he shows up again. But then there was someone else who was more conversational. I'm just curious where this stair step goes. I think I built it trying to figure out where I would start my mine. I was trying to get down below the lava level where it's easier to find the netherite. But this was not a good location as it turned out. And now where do I find the stairs back? Excuse me, folks. Shouldn't go wandering down strange stairs I don't know the way to find my way back from. And the thing about these pigmen is they keep standing where you want to go. They keep hiding my stairs and my entranceways. Okay. So I think this is the way I was heading to the to the mine. Yeah, I see some crimson. No, that's not crimson. That's warped dirt, or whatever you call it. So this way's been marked. I've been here. There's the warped forest. When I started this stream, I thought that maybe I would encounter someone from polytheistic religion, like maybe Hinduism or something, or maybe I'd encounter someone who was an atheist. I did not expect to get a Satanist on the stream really early on. So that was unique and interesting. He was a regular and very polite, so definitely was aware that that we tend to have the name Satan actually means adversary, and of course that's what it's kind of sensational to let's see, just trying to think. There's no way I can combine those. Yeah, I'd have to increase that. I'd have to upgrade that. But that should work to upgrade that. And then my question is, could I combine these? Yeah. And that would be an efficiency too. Enchantment costs 4, so that's 4 levels. I think that would be alright. I don't think I'm going to change the name, because I think I've heard that you can lose levels on changing the name. So I'm going to keep that. I think that'll work. I'm going to get those beds. Where did I put... I've got the TNT. Got some food. Let me go ahead and store the scrap and everything valuable. Oh, I got even more diamonds I didn't think about. Didn't think I had. I'm going to keep that food. What else can I not die with? I've got that bucket. I'm going to want a bucket for lava. I think that was helpful for setting off the TNT. But then maybe if I set off a bed, maybe that would trigger it too. I don't know. So I've got iron with me. So that'll be a bucket for lava. I probably got a bucket somewhere around here. Like maybe at my old base, but I'm not going back there again. I'm going to set this aside for now, or... I hate to take my best pick with me, but may as well. Because that's what this pick is for, right? Is for getting netherite. Do I have a bow? Yeah, I've got a bow, so I've got my arrows. That should be fine. I want to take that just in case. I think I'm going to assume that's what I need. So I had those folks around for a while. I think they, let's see, the Satanist said that he did subscribe, so could well listen to these streams again in the future. But as far as I can tell, probably lost interest. And so I'm just kind of waiting and seeing if anybody else shows up for these segments, and trying to figure out how I want to manage things, because like I said, when they first showed up, I was running the stream much the way that I am now. In fact, I think I was talking, was walking through this area, I want to say, starting these mines for the first time when I got my first regular, the one that I first spoke of. So, excuse me, sir. Thank you. And I've got those because when I've got a torch at the end, that marks that there's a lava pool on the other end there. I want to see if I can find a corridor. Because I did dig for a while down a corridor in the last stream that I did in Minecraft. But like I've shown already, and pretty common, it's fine if I'm talking about random subjects and trail off because I'm responding to something in the game. But if I'm talking about something that's really important to me, like if I've got a topic about, say like the Genesis 16 passage that we did just today. Excuse me. Okay, so this definitely was lava. So I probably would have branched off from here. Yeah. So there's that. And then what's this block doing here? More lava. So this was the way that I went last week, I think. And then, oh, but there's more lava down there. So did I stop down there? Was that where I decided to end the stream? I don't remember. Guess what I'll do. I'll set up the TNT. Put that there. Then I'm going to experiment with putting that there. And then... okay. And then I'm trying to think. I want to get really far back. I'm not sure. Let's see, how far does my reach go? There? Okay. So hopefully I don't take too much damage here. I've got full health, so I'll brave it. I took some damage. Patrick showed me how to take less damage when we first went through here, but I don't remember what those steps were. So I am not seeing netherite. Oh, let's not use the pickaxe to break up fires. Nope. Did not find it this time. Let me block that up and see if it by any chance is covering something. Oh. Ah! I am terrible at blocking up lava. Which is not a good situation for being in the Nether. How about there? No, I can't put a block where I want to. Okay, maybe from this angle. That's the best I can do for now. There we go. Yeah, so that was one of the challenges early on, trying to juggle gameplay and talk about things that are important to me, is I would lose my train of thought all the time, as you can tell. And okay, I'm not seeing anything. I don't want this granite to cover up what I was trying to uncover, but I am not seeing anything, so I'm gonna call it. I did not unearth any netherite here. So let me see if I can head in another straight line until I hit some more lava. We'll go this way. Okay, yeah, this efficiency stuff really works. Wonder how quickly I'll use up. Nice. Oh, that's what I want to see. Anything else around it? Black. Blackstone, I think this is. Yeah. Doesn't get out of the way very easily. And it looks like we're not quite in Blackstone biome, maybe. I understand it's not really worth mining through Blackstone. So, in addition to not being able to maintain my train of thought, I think I'm going to turn around here. In addition to not maintaining my train of thought, another concern that I had is sometimes I would think of something to talk about relating to culture, stories. Those are kinds of areas of interest to me. Entertainment. But as a Christian, a lot of the times the entertainment that is in our culture is not what I think God would enjoy. And so I would give my opinion about that. But then my concern was that it might look like I was only talking about what I was against, not what I'm for. That I was looking for ways to cause drama or make life difficult for entertainers. And this pickaxe is running low pretty quick. This efficiency makes it run out quickly. So I think I'm going to have to turn back and... I'm not really seeing... Okay, good. I'm not really seeing netherite. Anyway, I got that one block, but I had heard that really the fastest way to find netherite is to dig in a straight line. I don't know how accurate that is. It doesn't seem very accurate. I've seen other Minecraft YouTubers say using beds and TNT and finding netherite reasonably quickly. So maybe I want to look for an alternative. I was thinking maybe I might consider seeing if I could reach a bastion and find out what's in any chests that are in the bastion. So a little bit more of an exciting way to go about it. Especially if there are ghasts in the neighborhood. It's probably upstairs where it can't reach me. So I'm editing some video. I'm trying to get my editing chops together. I think it would be good for the channel if we had some shorter content that kind of condensed what I've said in the past about what I care about, and maybe it would be something that someone would be willing to watch for a brief while, maybe not as long as it takes me to do a live stream. So I've been working on editing that content, and I heard past me in one of these videos talking about how, okay, so it would be this way, talking about how I was concerned about only talking about the negatives in culture, and back then I had been talking about maybe I want to just go straight through the Bible, because that's the focus of what I care about. Just go straight through the Bible, do some preparation during the week, and then be prepared to talk about the Bible, which is what I do. During the week I look over the passage that I am planning on talking about, and try to figure out how long a passage I want to talk about, and what interesting points I might kind of dwell on as I'm continuing through the account. I had seen in okay, oh boy, right overhead. I don't feel like being seen. Of course, as soon as I shoot it, which I've got to because it's so close, as soon as I shoot it, it's going to know I'm here. Oh, I can't help it. I've got my arrows. That's not the... That's not how you shoot a bow? I clicked with left. I guess it must be right click. Which, if I don't know how to use a bow, implies how bad I might be at this. Oh, I'm glad it was already nearly dead. Okay. So those gas tiers burned up. What is that? I do not like what I heard. Was it one of those zombie pigmen? Anyway, I think I'm safe, but still. I've got lots of these netherrack. Got some ancient debris. I'll go ahead, see if that'll smelt. I think I probably need 2 of them. Oh no, that doesn't make sense. 2 to make 1 scrap. Let me see. I'm still learning how this works. Yep, okay, that's fine. I'll take that. 2 scrap. No, I think I need 4 scrap in order to make an ingot. So that can stay there. We've got more nuggets over there. So I can make those into ingots. Is that how? Yep. That's how that works. And then I've got raw gold. So that... Okay, that's that block. Is it a 1-to-1? I forget. Okay, do we smelt these? Is that how that works? So 13, and then I've got 1 coal, and if I get some planks, so that should be 3.5, and that's the other half, and then I can use 1 coal, and that smelts into ingots. Yeah? Okay, good. I don't know that I've had to do that since, I've had to do it with iron, but I don't know that I've had to do it with, coal since the 1.17 version came out. Goes to show you how early I tend to quit. For the stream, I've been running for a long time. So there we go. That'll keep it. So I think pretty early on in the stream I had decided that... I think what I was going to say is I had been looking through the analytics that YouTube gives me to help me assess what direction I want to take the channel, what kind of videos I would want to produce, what people are interested in. And the analytics seemed to show that someone had found my channel by searching for Minecraft Bible stories. And I thought, that's interesting. I probably don't want to take a Bible story kind of perspective, because I don't feel like the Bible is there to put you to sleep necessarily for kiddos. Then if you're going to fall asleep to something, the Bible is good enough, especially when there's stories that are specifically selected for kids. The Bible is definitely a book that is written for adults, but as for Bible stories, I was thinking I'm probably not going to be telling bedtime tales out of the Bible, but definitely the Bible is something I care about, want to talk about. So if someone's interested in hearing about the Bible and watching someone play Minecraft, I'm all for that. So that's probably where I got the idea that I would go ahead and start. I just realized I'm sitting here defragging. Probably not the most interesting content. Let's see if I can find a bastion. Maybe. Is there anything else that I want to carry along? I think I'll probably want that now. Do I want to bring the armor just in case? I do have diamond armor, which is pretty good. know if I want to bring a backup pair of boots. Probably. If I'm going to be in the bastion, then probably. Got 30 raw beef. I'll go ahead and get that smelting. Another ghast? So 8 times 3 would be 24. And then planks. 4 of those would make 6. That'll do. 3, 4. And then once those are done, I'll put in my 3 coal. Got my gold nuggets. Moving right along. I don't know that I'll wait for the steaks to be ready. I can take those. But when I get back, there will be food available. And the nice thing is this smoker cooks pretty fast. So, there we go. Where? Whoop. Don't want to look over that way. Where is that ghast? Not seeing it. Now, I think I have seen at least 1, if not 2, bastions around the Nether, and I don't know that I've explored them all, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to run into 1 or both of those on stream today. I just don't remember where they are, because that was quite a long time ago. So I'll be keeping an eye out over the lava oceans. Let's see, was talking about Bible, reading the Bible, and of course I do care about, as I've said, I do care about having conversations with people. Oh, there's one right over there. I want to say that block, no, I wouldn't have gotten that close to the lava to find it, would I? Let's see, how do I get over there? I've got that pathway. I wonder if that shelf will take me over there eventually. Let me try that. If not, I'll come back here and try again. But one of the things I do really care about is having conversations with people who think differently than me, have different beliefs than me. I'd like to benefit from learning about those different beliefs. Getting a better grasp of why people are so different from me, that kind of thing. So those conversations are meaningful when there were people to converse with. And as I was starting to move more into the Bible topics, then I had more of a conflict, and I don't know that I've really figured out what I want to do about that. So I would get started talking about Bible stuff, and then someone would come on and want to talk about their thing, and of course I wanted to talk about their thing too. And I figured I could always come back to my topic the next time I know what my topic is. I may not get this opportunity to talk with this person again. So, and I still feel that way. I still want to be open to having those conversations that I may never have another opportunity to have. But then again, especially if God does bless the stream with viewers, then and chatters, then I may never have the opportunity to speak about my subjects again, because there would be so many conversations that I have the potential to have with people. So I'm still trying to figure out the direction God wants me to take the channel in. And I've decided so far that I'd split the stream up into 2 sections. So there's the section with my topic that I care about, and I put that at the front of the stream so that you know right coming into the stream, hopefully, the kind of content you're going to get, because the stream has shifted quite a bit since I was just playing games and talking. As you can tell if you've been here from the beginning of the stream or the beginning of the VOD. Okay, so we have an enderman there, but I'm pretty sure I placed those blocks. Yeah. I don't recall how close I am to amethyst-based portal, but can't be too far away. I bet you we'll get to that bastion and find it explored already by past me. Lots of blue over there, but I think it's just the biome. It's not like it's a blackstone bastion. It's probably just the atmosphere for this biome. And those endermen are usually pretty friendly as long as you're not fighting them, but I did make the mistake of looking at one once upon a time in the Nether. I haven't been in these warp forests very much. Haven't gotten to hear the sounds from them. I used to play... Oh, lots of gold over there. And of course there will be enemies, and I think they're probably more aggressive when you get in there, right? So hopefully this will be okay. Oh, I think I may have triggered someone just by breaking that block. No, I think those are their normal noises. And I'm hearing some noises I haven't heard before from pigmen, so... Seems like they're in the heart of the bastion. Okay. Nothing good up here. Okay. You friendly? Either friendly or hasn't seen me. I'm not looking. You've seen me. You've seen me and you're looking. And you've got a buddy. I'm a little concerned. So I don't see either of you really trying to get me. Oh, I may be stuck. I'm concerned about that guy with the scar over his eye. Yeah. Nope. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. Ah. Okay. So how much stuff did I lose? All of it? Yeah, all of it. Have I got any armor left over? I don't have gold boots, but I do have gold boots once I get into the Nether. So that should be fine. Got some extra iron. I don't have any diamonds here, right? I took all my diamonds. Okay. And I'm gonna need a helmet and a chest plate. Pants. And that should be all for now. Do I need a sword? Hopefully I can get back quickly enough. Need sticks. Ah, I thought I had logs somewhere. It's probably a good thing to have a pick anyway. Okay. That's all I think I need for now. Put these planks, those logs somewhere. And then I'll head back to the Nether. See how much I can salvage. portals down this way. Side of it. There we are. Yeah. This way is up. And this is where I get my gold boots. Okay. So I'm safe from any pigmen until we get to the bastion. And then I'm just hoping to pick up my items, that's all. Then I'll regroup and see what I do about that bastion place. Which level was I on when I was over there? Was I upstairs? Yeah, I probably wasn't downstairs. And that is the way I went, I think, actually. So let's see. Where was I about the direction of the stream? Well, you kind of know where we are now, where I'm doing the Bible philosophy type segment first. And then I'm doing the gameplay section second, and hopefully that gives me a chance to talk about the subjects that I'm interested in, but it also gives viewers a more low-key opportunity, a kind of designated time to say this is when you can talk about what you care about, whether that's something fun or something more serious, but it wasn't on topic for what I was aiming for. There's a gas. I have no bow. And I'm still trying to figure out how to get to that bastion, and I do not want to look at any endermen because they turn deadly. So we have pigmen over here. I don't think this was the way I went. Is this an alternative way I can go? Oh, there's a gas. I don't think that's the one I heard, though. Can't really get over there. Don't want to, don't want to. Ah! This is not what I want. That enderman over there kind of looked like a ender dragon from a distance without getting a sense of the shape. I'm going, I know that's not possible. But that's what was going on in my head. I don't know if you'd see it if you saw the VOD, but I thought I saw a great big black head with two eyes staring at me. Not a long, slender being. Okay. Well, I was going to try to make that jump. There we go. I guess I want to try to go that way. I get too enthusiastic about navigating, and then I notice my cursor is about a hair's breadth from one of those endermen. So I've definitely been this way before because I saw some nether wreck among the trees. Yep, there's that bastion. So I think I'm here. Oh, I was way higher when I tried to get up there earlier. But hopefully I've made it in time. If I can just find my way up there. Ah. I can't jump up there. I don't have blocks. So the other thing I'm thinking through, though, I want to keep things loose enough so that if someone comes in and wants to chat when I'm in the middle of a topic, then it would be easy enough for me to switch topics and chat with them. I also... Glad he wasn't looking at me. I also want to have something interesting to listen to, so I do want to have some sort of topic on hand. And I do have a little bit of concern that someone comes in and sees me talking about the Bible, for instance, and thinks, oh, this is just another one of those Christian Bible teacher type channels. I'm not interested. I can get a sermon anywhere. And I am not here to bill myself as a pastor of any kind. Okay. They put on my armor. Hi. Did you leave any items for me? No? You took it all? I can't fight you because you're in diamond armor. Don't anybody attack me, please? I didn't know they'd do that. Hopefully they're preserving my stuff, but I can't fight them in iron. Can I? It just seems wrong. Oh, there's that guy. I can fight you. I hear someone pulling a bow, I think. Yep, I think someone's trying to shoot me with a crossbow. That's not my crossbow. He knows how to use that crossbow. I keep hearing that bowstring stretching. I think I dodge out of the way before they get a chance to use it. You want a 1v1? You can have a 1v1. Did he despawn? What happened to him? Okay, so that was a set of gold boots. I don't think I have another one really easily accessible. So there we go again, get the basic necessities. I got my boots, helmet, pants, shirt. There we go. Pick, I need wood, which I probably better stock up. Because all my good stuff is at the Nether. Odds are Scarface down in the Nether is probably going to heal up or something. Okay. I do have an enchantment. Oh, I did have an anvil. But I do have that if I wanted to use my sharpness book, but I don't think I want to take the time for that yet. I was pretty sure I was in a good situation. Was able to hide around those stairs, and then that one found his way up. I'm gonna chop down some trees, restock my wood. Because none of my items are lying around, so I have to fight folks in order to get them back. Which maybe if I did that quickly would be possible, I don't know. Okay, yeah, I've got a good grove built up there, so lots of wood around. Probably should have taken a moment to pull back and eat something. Do I learn my lessons as I go? Hopefully failure teaches me good lessons. Looks like I've cut some wood down already from here. Okay, so I can start from here. Anyway, I think people might, since I died recently, I probably feel like wrapping this up before too long. Next week, I'll be playing My Time at Portia. The week after that, I'll be playing Raft. And then after that, I'll be playing Subnautica. That was also what I played last week. So I'm kind of going through these 4 games, and eventually, someday, I plan to beat one of them. Maybe when I beat one of them, then I'll cycle in a new game and try that out for the first time. But I don't want to settle so long on a game that people think that I'm like the Minecraft channel or the Raft channel or that kind of thing. I want to be the channel about discussing beliefs that that differ between us, about having good civil discussions. Of course, that depends on what God's plan for the channel is, obviously. I think I run the risk with a goal like mine of having civil discussions about points of disagreement in today's climate. I do run the risk of irritating people by virtue of the fact that I don't agree with their positions, and I may get people who don't know how to have civil conversations. So hopefully that is not for a while yet. And in the meantime, how do I convey to new people what the channel is about? I was watching, YouTube is kind of my main entertainment source, and when I was thinking about whether I wanted to be someone who was more out in public, like a YouTube, a content creator, basically. I was thinking, well, live streaming, I won't have to edit things, so that would be the easiest way to go. And my options were basically YouTube and Twitch. I know Facebook apparently has a strong live streaming platform, but I used to be on Facebook. I am not anymore, by my own choice. So that wasn't really an option I wanted to look into. But since I was already on YouTube, and since when you create a video on YouTube, it stays there and doesn't get deleted over time, I thought that was the platform for me, at least for now. So that's where you find me. And I also tend to do a lot of viewing on YouTube, and I've seen some interesting videos. There was one, both of these people videos by people who used to be religious. One, I think, said that he had been studying to be a pastor, had been professing Christian, I guess. And then another one from someone who used to be a Jehovah's Witness. So a little bit different from my starting perspective, but has a religious position, claims familiarity with the Bible. So he referred to a couple names in his video that I'm familiar with and would kind of consider trustworthy. So I'm listening to these folks talking about their experience with Christianity, And for instance, the video of the first one, the one that was studying to be a pastor, he was talking about the experience of what we call evangelizing, or being evangelized to. Another word we use for it is witnessing. And basically, and I've done it a lot of times on this channel, though hopefully not the way that that this fellow was expressing it. When we're evangelizing or witnessing, we Christians are talking about what is core to our faith, and basically how we believe people ought to be right with God and have peace with God. So, and whenever I talk about this subject, and get me anywhere near this subject, I tend to run the risk of, oh, I could make a spear. Then I'd have to make a crafting table, and I've got one downstairs. So I think I'll just risk fighting the skeleton, because I do need to get out of the dark. Okay, at least I'm armored up. There's a creeper over there, and he's seen me. Okay, at least maybe I can harvest some iron. I think if you can fight them while you're low, it's easier to kill them. Okay, and nobody else has seen me, so I can head on downstairs. There we go. Got plenty of wood. I can go to sleep, send the monsters away, and then maybe see if there's any more saplings in the morning that I can farm, replace some of those trees that I've chopped down. Anyway, anytime a Christian is telling you how to be right with God, which, like I say, get me anywhere close to that subject, I feel like I have to go into more detail, so I will. Basically, humanity is, I've already mentioned, the Bible says that every single human being rebels against God, so we are not in a good place with God. God is the sovereign of the universe, and we have committed a crime against him, and I call it basically attempted murder. And the only reason it is not true murder is because we're incapable of actually murdering God. So the best we can do is pretend that he doesn't exist and doesn't have any say over our lives, but of course he does. And when we disregard what he has to say about our lives and how we ought to be living them, then we are basically in our heart saying, if I could make you go away, I would. If I could end you, I would. So that's why I call it attempted murder. So we've got this, we've all committed a severe crime against God, who has done no wrong to us and is the sovereign of the universe, is infinite. We have committed an infinite crime against an infinite God, we finite beings, so we are not great enough to bear the infinite punishment required for this infinite crime. Thankfully, Jesus, God the Son, is an infinite being God the Son. He took on humanity, so now he is part of the party that has committed the crime against God, even though he himself did not commit that crime against God. And he took the punishment for that crime on himself, and bore the wrath of God on himself, which then means that if we choose, we can take the righteousness that he offers in our place. That price is paid for us if we choose. He is offering his righteousness so that we are no longer under condemnation for that crime. And what we have to do is, the Bible says, I believe it's believing in your heart that Jesus is Lord and confess with your mouth that God raised him from the dead and you will be saved. I tend to try to get that right. I often try to look it up. I've said it and been through it a couple times, so I'm thinking I probably got it in the right order. But if you want to check me on that, you can look up Romans 10, verse 9 and 10, verses 9 and 10. And if you don't have a Bible, I highly recommend the website that I was on earlier when I was reading the Bible. It is blueletterbible.org, or you can type in blb.org. And that has a lot of good tools, like I was looking at the Hebrew, that kind of thing. It has a good search of the Bible, so I really enjoy it. Not sponsored, just enjoy it. And so if you want to check what I'm saying, then you can go there and look up Romans 10, 9, and 10. So basically, that's what we call the gospel. And by the way, an important part of the gospel I'm not sure that I conveyed is Jesus not only died, he rose again from the grave, which does prove that he is God the Son, and that God accepted that punishment that he took in our place. So he is qualified with God's approval to take our punishment for the crime that we have committed against God. God forgives us willingly. It wasn't like someone just made up, oh, if I do this, then God will be happy, and God is not. No, Jesus rose from the dead, which is a clear indicator that God was pleased with him. There's more that I could go into that. There's other implications that has, but I'll try to keep this short because I tend to run long when I'm talking about it, because there's so much important stuff to let you know about, and I need to find a way to make that shorter. But anyway, this video that I had seen on YouTube, this person was kind of viewing evangelism or witnessing as a kind of sales pitch that people make to sell you on becoming a Christian. And I can relate to a lot of what he was saying. Christians often get so focused on getting someone to accept this payment that Jesus made for their sins, that sometimes the ways that we can do it, the ways that we can attempt to do it, the ways that we teach others to do it, can be kind of manipulative. So that is something I hope to avoid on this channel, because I do recognize the importance of being right with God, of accepting that payment that Jesus made, but I want you to make the choice to do that if you're going to, well-informed, not emotionally manipulated, and want to think that through, because if this is one of those things where it is so important that people can justify just about any means. This is talking about your eternal future, about whether you are going to be enjoying God for eternity in heaven, in the place that he has made for us to enjoy with him, with all of its benefits, or whether you spend eternity in the lake of fire, which is a literal place that is for eternal torment. And I say that matter-of-factly based on what the Bible has said. But that is a severe enough risk that some people would say, listen, if I have to emotionally manipulate someone or coerce someone into making that choice, then it's justified because it's ultimately for their good. And I'm not sure if it's good for someone to be coerced in that kind of decision. I think it is a matter of your will to follow God, to accept Jesus as your stand-in for that punishment. So as I'm running this channel, I'm hoping not even really to convert anybody to Christianity, because I just don't have the confidence that that is something I can aim at and hit, basically, to be honest. So what I'm aiming for is the Bible gives analogies about the process of witnessing, evangelizing, sharing God's word with people. And one of the big analogies is farming. And the Bible says there are different people who go through the, basically different people with different roles who go through the field. You may get someone who is scattering the seed. Or you may get, well, first you would get someone who's turning the soil, right? Then you get someone who's scattering the seed. You might get someone who's watering the crops, irrigating the crops. You might have someone who actually does the harvesting at the end. And I think a lot of us Christians want to be the one who's harvesting, want to be the one who's seeing someone being born into the kingdom of God for the first time. That sounds like it would be exciting. But there's also other people with other tasks. So I'm not hoping to be the harvester. I'm not hoping to be the midwife. I'm not hoping to change anyone's mind necessarily. I hope that maybe I can plant a seed. Maybe by seeing how a Christian thinks and talks, you will have a different understanding of who a Christian is and how they behave and what motivates them than you otherwise would have. So that's one of the things that I hope comes out of this channel for you. I hope that maybe I can turn some soil where if you have reasons of your own that kind of set you against Christianity, I would love to chat with you about what those reasons are. My goal is to listen first, to become familiar with what your reasons are, to eventually get to the place where you would be able to tell me, yeah, you understand, right? That is exactly my position. That's what I want to do first. And then after the fact, maybe give you my position, my reasons. Now, the challenge here is I do a lot of talking. So you're probably going to hear my position and my reasoning before you speak up about yours. So we'll see how it actually works in practice. But my goal is to listen first and counter second. Okay, so I think I'm going to stay down again for the night. It's bedtime. Good. Okay. I was slain twice this stream. Yeah, I guess so. I'm getting good at this dying thing. I guess probably that's why I tend to quit before I get into the more valuable items. There's probably a direct correlation. I just don't like losing very valuable items. And I wonder when I get to that bastion, if because I probably won't go back tonight. But I wonder if when I get back to that bastion, those exact piglins will be there, or if they'll have respawned and then my items will be gone. So that's a risk I'm taking. We'll see how that goes. I've got some resources. I did see some iron in the chasm. I know I said that I wasn't going to get it right now because because there's usually better stuff around, but it might be good to just keep my iron stores stocked up. There's nothing else in here, right? And then I think I don't have any coal, but I will. Okay. Once I get that coal, then I'll set some torches so nothing spawns in those holes I just created. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea for me to go to Savannah Base and see if I've got anything significant left behind over there. I probably carried it over by now, but it wouldn't hurt for me to check. And where did I leave off that topic? So I talked about the farming analogies in the Bible. Talked about, I think I was saying I kind of hope that maybe we might be able to have discussions where if you've got reasons against Christianity, and I've mentioned this a bunch of times on the channel about wanting to know someone else's perspective before really offering or arguing for mine. Obviously, it is, I am kind of working within the constraints of being a content creator. I've got to talk before anyone knows that I exist, basically. So that's where I am for the moment. Okay, so I can... Let me see if I can find some gold. Make some boots. Got a little mine here, but I think I've... Yeah. I think I probably quite spent it. And it's a little bit convoluted because I was trying a certain mining strategy and got myself good and confused. So I may be wandering for a while before I find any gold. I just don't want to run into any pigmen in the nether without gold boots. Yeah, when I built this mine, I had heard that the most efficient mining strategy is to do these... What? Green? Okay, copper. I'm going, that can either be emerald or a zombie kiddo, which is the one thing I'm afraid will spawn in this, in a mine this size. Not too worried about angry zombies up there. Let's see. So I've talked a lot about how I hope to... Yeah, I think I covered that, and I was saying that I kind of talk first because of the nature of being a YouTube content creator. I'm not sure if I just can't think of anything to add to the topic, or if I'm just getting tired as it's getting later in the evening. And I'm not sure what direction the stream is going to go. But anyway, I think I know where I was, because I was talking about these videos. And I had the idea recently, maybe for this second part of the stream, at least until people come along and want to chat. I may as well get that iron. Okay. Then I've got blocks, good. Can fill it in. I was thinking... It might be worthwhile for me to actually respond to those videos as if it were someone who came into chat. Kind of give my thought process as if I were having a conversation with those creators who had made the videos. Because clearly they're creating YouTube videos because they want their beliefs addressed also. Maybe not so much addressed. They want to be heard. So it's probably, I would hope that they'd consider it a good thing if someone would hear and respond. Hopefully, okay, this is going to be a little difficult, but not too hard. I'm not seeing any gold here. I'll stand up, which is even more difficult. I mean, dangerous, because I can fall into the lava that much more quickly. I think I'm set. I might want that trapdoor, because that'll help me to get down to the size of these mines again. So anyway, I figure someone like me who's giving their opinion on YouTube, it might be beneficial for them to come across someone responding to them. For one thing, I could link to the videos and give them some views that way if I think the videos are worth it. But also by giving my perspective, then you'd see how I handle those beliefs that I'm disagreeing with, and what I'm thinking as I'm listening to those beliefs. So maybe that would kind of help to carry across the idea that that's the value that I want to get out of this channel, is to be able to have those conversations in a meaningful way. I think it's interesting listening to the old videos that I've been editing. I've basically taken a handful of them from early on in the stream's career, and I hope to kind of milk those for all of the shorter video content I can, and to work my way closer and closer until I finally catch up with these streams. And maybe once I get to the streams about the Bible passages, then I can let's see, once I get to the streams about the Bible passages, maybe I can settle down to more of a video per stream level. Right now I'm trying to coalesce a whole bunch of videos, all into a bunch of streams, all into one video. Just kind of carry the times that I've spoken about the same idea, cobble all those instances together into a video, all on kind of one topic. I don't remember how I started that sentence, how I started that idea. Something about the process of editing. I think it was about something I said in, oh yeah, I think so. Back when I was just doing gameplay, I was trying to figure out, what if I have nothing important to say? And of course that is a risk also. I could get away with kind of telling you what I'm doing during the gameplay, but of course during a segment on this when I'm searching these tunnels for gold that's not here, that's going to be difficult to do also. I'm motivated to have something meaningful to say, more than just telling you what my thought process is behind playing the game. But in case I can't come up with that meaningful thing to say, it would be nice to be able to fall back on something unimportant, like commenting about the gameplay. I want to say that there's probably room over there. I know I've got more tunnels over there, so I've probably good and explored that area too. The chasm's over in that direction also, and I remember there was a stream where I was basically exploring the chasm for all the valuables I could get from it. Obviously I didn't get that iron higher up, but I don't think iron was valuable to me at that time. I might, once I get to the end of this tunnel, I'll just follow it all the way to the chasm if it leads all the way over there, and see what I can do standing up. Because when I made the 1x1 mines, they are more efficient, because when you break one block, you're getting the 4 blocks around, and then you're getting the block in the back. If you're making a mine where you're standing up, so a 2x1 mine, then you are not getting a new block where those 2 blocks join. That, is that a trap? Yeah, that's a trap door. Not gold. I saw something glimmering, but no, it was just the spaces between the wood slats. Okay. So here's that chasm, and hopefully nothing falls on my head. And there's gold right up there. So now how do I get up there? Gonna have to dig, because I don't have enough blocks to get me up there. But I'll get as far as I can. And there's... okay. I was thinking maybe there was a gap there. Like there's a gap here. Okay. I could plant another torch there. Because this is not version 1.18. I think the lighting gets more forgiving in 1.18. Like if there's any light at all, a mob won't spawn there, if I recall correctly from what I've heard. They're doing that because they're making the bigger caves, so mobs tend to spawn pretty frequently in the big caves where there's a lot of dark space for them to spawn in. So it's not really much of a loss for them to be shy of any light at all, of a light level 1. So this is 3 gold, and I'm going to need 1 more. And then I can head back to the Nether. Maybe see if I can check out Savannah Base, see if there's anything worth bringing back from there. Was this that gold patch that I saw? Was that... I saw 2 gold... I saw one on the ceiling. That's what I remember. Up there. Do I want to try to get up there? Let me see. And I'm trying to think through if I expressed myself well enough about that subject. Is there a cave up here? Might be worth exploring that cave. There we go. There's the gold. Okay, got that one. That one may be a little bit more difficult for me to get. All fixed. There's some water in there. And some iron, which I don't need right away. I'm trying to get around the corner. The water's not helping. There we go. Now I can make torches. So you guys can see. I forget how dark it gets. My monitor's pretty good, so I can tend to see details. I may as well get that iron while I'm here. So I'll give more thought to that YouTube reaction idea. I'm not sure how I want to develop it, or whether I'm going to... tell you what, I'll just plug that up over there. Okay. Which direction, if any, I'm going to take it. I'm hoping that'll... if I go through with that, that'll help to bring some value to this channel also. I had said some... oh yeah. I was editing old videos, and in my old videos, I think I had more of the general format in mind for streams. Usually there's someone playing a game. They're talking about the game or what they're doing in the game. Excuse me. Or they may occasionally talk about what they had for lunch that day, that kind of thing. I don't tend to find streamers talking about things I find to be very important. Sometimes you get streamers, I think, who talk about politics and things like that. I call politics current events because I don't want to incite divisiveness. Incite is kind of an inciting word these days. So that's kind of why I stumble over it. But I don't want to start quarrelsomeness. And I think that's kind of the feeling that I had when I was doing my old streams, where I kind of hesitated about having the conversations that like between people who have differing views, because what if I got a divisive crowd, that kind of thing. The cancel culture, what if I'm not too worried about what would happen if people came to cancel me. I don't know that I have a lot necessarily to cancel, but I think because I was in the original streamer mentality, I just didn't want a lot of fuss. But I do find an interest in analyzing and weighing different perspectives. So I think that's a direction that would be natural for me, and that I'd like to see the stream go in. I just think it would be interesting if it were possible to give arguments, good reasons, arguments without quarreling. And I'm making a distinction between arguing and quarreling. To me, an argument is a logically founded basis for your beliefs. So every good belief needs at least one good argument. But quarreling is when it's basically tit for tat. You're just trying to get a zinger in there. You're not actually pursuing the truth. And it would be great if we could have discussions here in pursuit of the truth, even if it means that in the short term I lose, but in the long term I win, because I learned something that I hadn't considered before. Tell you what, I think that's where I want to wrap up. Think I've come to a stopping point in in what I was thinking through saying, and my voice is definitely getting tired. I think I've kind of gone around in circles, so I tend to assume by this point people would be a little bit tired of the discussion as well. So since I've got nothing more to say, I'll just go ahead and call it here. We'll call it a night, and we'll be back in Minecraft in about a month. And for the next stream, it will be my time at Portia. Let me go ahead and go full screen cam. I was thinking this year, Christmas Eve is going to be on a Friday. I want to go ahead and take that day off, I think. I had a week off for my mom's birthday, which also happened to fall on a Friday, so I got to spend time with the family, and that was really nice. So I'm wanting to kind of stagger my times off, but I'm about at the point where I'm ready for some time off. So definitely by December 24th, I think I'm going to be taking it. I'm going to take that as a personal holiday. And for the night and for this weekend, I'll get some rest, and I hope you get some good rest too. God bless you, and play kind.